Orioles baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Last night, the Tigers took Game 1 of the 3-game series with the Royals 6-5. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. One of the reasons why the Royals have been able to avoid long losing streaks this year, Hud, is when someone gets cold, someone else then gets hot. And with Johnny Cueto having lost 3 in a row, it's easy to forget what Yordano Ventura has done in his last 4.
Yes, and good championship caliber teams with that starting pitching keeps long losing streak and extends winning streaks. Ventura, he's standing up and saying, I'm the true ace.
And he's not just pitching well over his last 4 starts. Our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard shows us that he is 3-0 in his last 4. Look at that ERA. It's so small you can hardly see it.
Love the opponent's average. He's dealing. That's exactly right. When you have those weapons and now all of a sudden he's harnessing his mentality, he's calm, he's executing his pitches, he's turning into a dangerous starter. Ned Yost and the rest of the team feeds off of that.
He'll face 39-year-old left-hander Randy Wolf, and while the Tigers might be at the bottom of the division, they had a big night on offense last night, and they have all their big bats in the lineup tonight.
Hill, he's made 2 starts for the Tigers since coming over from the minor leagues in Toronto. 377 career big league games, and just one of them against the Kansas City Royals. That was back in 2012 for the Brewers. Joel Goldberg, Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery. So you have the longtime veteran who is still around in the league and the youngster Yordano Ventura. Monty, the guys were talking about how good he's been in his last 4 starts. How about just the last start, a career-high 11 strikeouts? What enabled him to be able to get so many Ks?
But Joel, when you have an arm like Yordano Ventura, it's very easy to get caught up in throwing fastballs. But what I saw from Yordano Ventura in his last start was mixing up all of his pitches, particularly his curveball. He gets 11 strikeouts on the day, and he was a guy who was just dominant, put hitters away with that curveball with that changeup, and he used the fastball when he needed it. So he's a complete pitcher now. I'd like to see that swagger, like to see that confidence on the mound.
The talent is there, the work ethic, the confidence. It has all been coming together for young Yordano Ventura. Yeah, it's warm, but he is wearing the jacket and ready to go. The 24-year-old Yordano. How about the 55-year-old Rex Hubler, the birthday boy, and Ryan next.
Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealers. Visit your local Chevy dealers today for great prices on all the new 2015 vehicles. Royals lead is now 12 over Minnesota and 19 over Detroit. 1 year ago today, the Royals and the Tigers had the exact same record, and they were tied for first place. And now here's Detroit, 9 games below 500, and the Royals 29 games above 500. Still a pretty good offense, and the Tigers last night coming up with 6 runs, 11 hits. They got a big home run from Ian Kinsler, who will bat second, the former MU Tiger. And we'll see how that offense does tonight against Yordano Ventura, who has not only been very good in his last 4 starts, but if you break down his last 4 starts at home, he's been even better than that.
Yes, he's really picking up the slack. I'm telling you, he's emerging as the ace that Ned Yost believed he was leaving spring training. We all understand the growth he's gone through this season, but now he's a very confident young man, and with those weapons he possesses, it makes him even very tough. Fastball, curve, changeup. He'll throw occasional cutters, but that fastball is a beauty. Average is 96, but we'll see some upper 90s, maybe even 100, but he's better off around 95, 96.
Here are the Royals defensively tonight, presented by Ford.
How about Johnny Gomes out there in right field? Now, he may not be your fleet-footed right fielder, but Ned's going to find a way to get him in there against lefties. That's his gig. He can hit lefties, and with the next 5 starters facing the Royals all left-handed, hopefully Johnny Gomes can run into 1 or 2 of them. He's got a decent arm. He's got 4 outfield assists this year when he was with the Braves, and they don't have the DH over there, so he's been playing outfield.
Our umpiring crew, Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief, his 22nd year as a big league umpire, will be at third base. Quinn Wolcott is back at the plate. Ryan Blackney at first base. Eric Cooper is at second. And for Yordano Ventura, this will be his 4th start this year against the Tigers. The overall numbers are not very good, but in his most previous start against Detroit, he was very good. In his career, 3-0, 4.56 ERA. Back on August the 11th here at Kauffman Stadium, Ventura pitched 6 scoreless innings, getting around 6 walks and beating the Tigers 6-1.
And the key for him staying in the game a long time is to try to limit the pitch count, and they foul a lot of those fastballs off. But that's his pitch. He's going to use that fastball to set up the curve and the change, and he's really good when he pitches righties in. They all know what to look for.
And that's up the left field line and foul. Although where Paulo Orlando was playing, that would have perhaps made for a close play at second base.
Just like the Tigers making an adjustment on Cueto last night, they're going to do the same here by the looks of that swing there. They're not going to try to pull him. When you face a power pitcher, you just want to have a nice easy swing and try to put it in play where it's pitched. Try to do too much, he can blow it by you.
Ventura just standing and waiting on Gose. Anthony Gose was on base 3 times last night and scored 2 runs as the Tigers leadoff man. That's down by his ankles at 99 miles an hour. 2-1.
Gose got hit above the right knee last night. That would have hurt.
Slap foul again.
So after taking a couple swings like that, with Ventura's breaking ball as good as it's been, he might have earned himself a hook right here. We'll see.
Well, and that's been the big pitch for him. In his last 2 starts, he has struck out 17, and 14 have been on the curveball. And here it comes. And there you go.
Had him set up the whole time.
So make it, in his last 18 strikeouts, 15 with his curveball.
And see where this finishes, folks. Man, there is not a hitter alive that can hit that pair. I mean, you can foul them off, but after those hard fastballs, it makes it tough to hit that curve.
And now facing a very good fastball hitter in Ian Kinsler, who had the biggest hit last night.
Oh, man. Wow. Ooh. I think that heater got away from him. Do you know what I noticed? Ventura looked the other way. Didn't want to get in any kind of staring down contest or anything. So Ventura, he's learning. Man, that's a tough one to wear. Whoa. See Ventura? Doesn't even make eye contact. That's the right thing to do.
Interesting.
Yep. That's Ventura's 6th hit batter of the year.
So a man on for Miguel Cabrera. Kinsler, by the way, has great numbers against Yordano Ventura. Miguel Cabrera had 2 hits last night and drove in the Tigers' first run in the first inning. That's out into right center field. Gomes was playing deep, so he will cut it off. Kinsler goes to third, and Cabrera has a 1-out single.
That is the perfect swing off a guy that throws that hard. Look at that. Stayed inside the ball, didn't even move his lower half, barely just a small step there. Look at his head position. Perfect. Stayed inside. Look at him bound to the ball, man. That's one of the greatest hitters in our era right there. Utilizes the opposite field with the best of them. That's the reason he always hits high for an average. He goes the other way.
2 on for J.D. Martinez, and he gets a first pitch curveball for strike 1. Martinez 1 for 4 last night. Big time power, 34 home runs. He's driven in 87. No balls, 2 strikes as Ventura hits triple digits. Those home runs for J.D. Martinez, 4th in the league, RBIs 6th in the league. And after having a monster year against the Royals last year, they have really pitched him well this year. And a 3-pitch strikeout takes care of J.D. Martinez, and there are 2 down. Another strikeout with the curveball.
Well, you know, he's establishing that fastball early. Like I said, when he starts that pitch out around thigh high and ends up around ankle high, you're fooled. Your initial response after 98, 99 mile an hour fastballs is, oh, it's going to be a fastball. It's not. It's hard to pick up that rotation.
And now Victor Martinez, who hit 2 home runs against Yordano Ventura in a start earlier this year. That was a game in Detroit, and Ventura, good fastball over the inside. You were sitting when I was visiting with Ned Yost for our daily radio interview, and I asked him how key that curveball is since he's getting so many strikeouts, and Ned said it's not the curveball, it's the ability to pitch inside with a fastball, and he made a good pitch on his first delivery to Martinez, and now the curveball in the dirt. And that was Ned's next point, is if he can pitch in with the fastball, that makes every other pitch more effective.
Man, he's right on too. And we talked about it a little bit last night. Even Randy Wolf, now we haven't seen him tonight yet, but he's not an overpowering guy, but he'll have to use his fastball at 86, 87 to set up his other pitches. So, because you have that swing and miss fastball like Ventura has, that's even more special. It makes those secondary pitches look even better. See if he can punch out the side.
Sal sets up down. He wanted that breaking ball down, and it was down and away.
That curveball didn't look like the other ones. It backed up a little bit and moved the other way. Sometimes when the seams catch that air pocket, they call those backup breaking balls or backup sliders. Kind of went the other way. Didn't have that good downward angle.
Change up. 2-2. Guy like Victor Martinez, and while he's having a down year, does have a lot of power, so you figure good candidate for a strikeout, but over the past few years he has become one of the most difficult hitters to strike out in the American League. There's that fastball in on him, and it's still 2-2. Hit hard, but right out to Escobar. He will take it himself, and Ventura works around the hit batter and the single. Alcides Escobar leading off. Ben Zobrist will be at second base. Johnny Gomes will make his Royals debut. He'll be in right field. And with Mike Moustakas nursing a sore hamstring, Cheslor Cuthbert, who has made several starts at third for the Royals this year. And then Paulo Orlando will be in left field against Randy Wolf. I remember there was a lefty named Randy Wolf. Remember he pitched with the Phillies and the Dodgers? Remember that? Oh, that's him.
You better believe it is.
39 years old and coming off his second Tommy John surgery. Randy Wolf.
Love his heart. This guy, he's kind of like Blanton we saw. He's like Medlin. He's like, you know, our guys that have missed a year or two and they wanted to end the career on their terms. So he's not overpowering at all. He's going to average 88 on his fastball, slider, curve, changeup, and he'll throw some cutters. And he throws those pitches at any time. And you got to wait. The ideal hitting a guy like Wolf is to think right field. And when he throws that changeup on the outer half, it's what he's going to do to all the right-handed batters in this lineup. You got to go with him. Unless he makes a mistake with it in, you try to turn and burn on him, but you get yourself in trouble if you try to pull everything.
Right to Gose in center field. One down. And now look at the Tigers defensively. The Tigers are average, and we've been showing you defensive runs saved all year. The Tigers are 0, so they haven't been making above average plays all year. They haven't been making below average players all year. When you look at their entire season, they have not saved or let a defensive run save go to this point, and this is game number 132 for them.
It's a little surprising, especially with Ghost, their center fielder. As fleet of foot as that guy is, and he takes good routes, I'm surprised he hadn't been in the plus department.
Slow curve, and that is belted to left field. That is gone. Ben Zobrist with his 11th home run of the year.
Zorilla. That's what his teammates called him in Tampa Bay. Whenever he muscles up and hits a homer, he's Zorilla. A hanging breaking ball. Look at that. Hitters, their eyes light up when they see that starting to break around their shoulders. It ends up belt high. Good, easy swing on it. And when that ball's breaking into a right-handed bat, it's a lot easier. All you got to do is turn and burn, just like Zobrist did right there. Zorilla. Flexing his muscles.
Cain chops it out to Kinsler. 2 down. And as you enjoy a cold one, we invite you to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
So Randy Wolf, fastball, slider, curve, and a change for strikes. He can throw them anytime in the count, which creates a little bit of doubt in the hitters' minds. You know, he has a short arm delivery, can be a little bit deceptive and can be hard to pick up, but sometimes that makes the hitter start thinking when he gets in a little groove. Soft tossing lefties are not easy to figure out. He's the kind of pitcher that you don't do a lot of prep work on. Same way with a knuckleballer. You know, you don't do a whole lot of paralysis by analysis. It'll set in and you're going to mess yourself up and start thinking. If you're going to go look for certain pitches, you got to look in the zone. Certain zone.
It's interesting looking at his pitch breakdown. There was a time, even though he wasn't a hard throwing lefty, that he would throw his fastball 80 to 85% of the time, similar to like a Cliff Lee. But now less than 50% of the time. Iglesias, good hands, and he gets Hosmer. So Randy Wolf gives up his first home run this year. And Ben Zobrist, with his 11th home run of the year, 8 have either tied the game or given his team the lead. And tonight he gives the Royals a 1-0 lead. September 9, 2014. The Royals were facing Max Scherzer and having a tough time, and the game ended on a pickoff at second base. That may have been the low point for the Royals in the month of September. It wasn't the low point of the season, but they had just struggled so much against the Tigers. You know, the Tigers were 13-6 against the Royals last year. But the next night was the night that Lorenzo Cain had an interesting exchange at first base with Victor Martinez. Royals took on a different attitude from that point forward, got the wild card spot, and that was the beginning of the charge to the World Series.
It's interesting how there are moments like that towards the end of the season for a team that's been the underdog. All of a sudden there's a defining moment, and that was it. I said, well, we're tired of being a stepping mat for you guys. You guys are stepping all over us. That's got to end. Sure enough, the change of the guard is happening this season.
One and two on Nick Castellanos. This was a series, if you're a Royals fan and you're thinking, okay, what tickets do we want to get late in the season? What would be a good series? Well, how about that September series with Detroit in town? And a year ago today, the Royals and Tigers had the exact same record. They were tied for first place, and now they're separated by 19 games. 3 strikeouts for Ventura tonight, all with the curveball, and there's one down in the second inning.
Yeah, one thing about strikeouts, you have to throw more pitches to get them, so it'll pile up his pitch count. But look, an out's an out, and that's all he's trying to do. But his release point has been superb. Look at that. He's right out over that front foot. He's staying out over. He's finishing his pitch and his curve. He's not pulling up or hanging it. He's really down, staying down with it, and it's breaking hard. He's got a good release.
Collins gets a first pitch curve and he takes a rip at it. No balls and 1 strike. Collins had 2 doubles and a run scored last night. Also lost a hit on a running play by Alex Gordon in the left field corner. Changeup, sound like he broke his bat, and it'll drop in front of Johnny Gomes. Tyler Collins is on with 1 out.
Okay, now you fans that are used to seeing great speed in the outfield, you know, don't be getting on Johnny Gomes if he can't get to some of those balls now, because look, that's just not his skill set. His skill set is hitting, and he's going to do an adequate job in the outfield. And that's a change up off the end of the bat. It fell right in front of him.
And he comes at a good time for the Royals. Alex Rios is out with chicken pox. That could be as long as 2 weeks. And the Royals face a left-hand pitcher tonight. They will face a left-hand pitcher tomorrow night. And there's a chance that the Royals could see 3 left-hand pitchers over the weekend when the White Sox are here. Chance for 2. Out at second. Double play, and Ventura faces only 3 in the second inning.
Love the turn by Zobrist. Stays on top with his throw. Gets a lot on it.
of Kansas hospital injury report. Kyle Schwarber, rookie with the Cubs, scratched with right rib soreness. He had an impressive home run for Chicago last night as the Cubs are fighting for a wild card spot with a very young team, and the Royals will see them one more time the final week of the regular season, a makeup of a rained out game from June. That'll be on September the 28th at Wrigley Field. Oh, 0-2 on Kendrys Morales.
Yep, from the left side of the plate, we know he's got the pop and the power, and we also know that from the right side. That swing last night was so easy, so effortless. And the first two swings here of the night have been good. They're to the opposite field. He's not trying to pull it.
And on him, and with the shift, that made it a tough play for the Tigers. If Iglesias is at the normal, if there is such a thing now, the normal shortstop position, that's probably an out.
That's right. Good for Morales, getting an infield hit. This guy, he rarely gets those because he's not blessed with great speed. Kinsler said, you know what, I'm going to try that. Actually, if he'd have stepped it through it over there, he might have had a better chance of getting it. But good for Morales. He has to hit everything he gets.
And now Johnny Gomes with his first at bat as a Royal. There are his numbers in 83 games with the Braves, and has been a specialist against left-hand pitching for most of his career. And he swings at the first pitch and drills it to center field, and that is over Gose's head. Morales will go to third. Johnny Gomes has a double after one pitch as a Royal.
Wow, if that doesn't give you goosebumps, what will? That was a beautiful stroke. Johnny Gomes wasting no time. Fastball in the middle at 89, and he just pounded short stroke. Look at how he shortens up that swing and takes a complete hack. He's not trying to run out of the box. He wants to slug his way out of the box.
Let's bring in Joel.
Well, Johnny Gomes is one of the characters in the game, but also very intense, respects the game. He's HUD's kind of guy. Yours too, Ryan. Old school. He was taught the way to go about it early on in his career by guys like Tino Martinez when he was just breaking in. And I exchanged a message with Kevin Seitzer today, who said hi to everybody back here, but he was his hitting coach in Atlanta, and here's what he said. Loves to play, loves to compete, intensely into every pitch, whether he's playing or not, and very prepared every day.
Open base. Salvador Perez is drilled by Randy Wolf, and hopefully we are all done with that. There are the warnings, which just further inflames the situation. And the Royals have the bases loaded with nobody out.
I think Salvy's upset that he warned him, but look, you know, that's just part of the game. That used to be a part of the game. It's not as much anymore, so players don't know how to react. After you get hit like that, you know, it's a payback. You just take your base, and the best thing is just to run down there, just jog down to first base. Look, and if you get hit by a guy like this, that is dangerous and that hurts. But when you get hit by a guy like Wolf with that padding, feels like a mosquito bite. So take your base. Part of the game.
Chesler Cuthbert with a big opportunity here with the bases loaded, nobody out. Morales reached with an infield single. Gomes doubled. Perez was hit by a pitch. Cuthbert plays in his first game since being recalled from AAA Omaha. And a base hit over Kinsler. Gomes got a great read, and the Royals will get 2 runs out of it.
fans getting some early action from their offense. Cuthbert, perfect idea. He's going to not try to pull him. He's going to go the other way. That ball was up around the letters, and he stayed on top nicely. In a perfect spot. Gomes, you mentioned it. What a great read. There's a lot of guys with nobody out are going to freeze on that. And just to make sure it goes through, Gomes knew better. He says, I'm going. I'm going to score my first run along with my first Royals hit.
So 3-0 and nobody out in the second inning. 2 on for Paulo Orlando. Paulo appeared as a pinch runner late in the game last night and then finished the game in left field.
So far we've seen Randy Wolf throw 2 curveballs and they have not been good. The second one, he didn't swing at it, but it still was up. It was on the outer half. He tries to backdoor that on righties, but he made a mistake to Zobrist.
And now a fastball strike to Paulo. Checking in with Mike Jerschley. Saved by Avila. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That base hit by Cuthbert there makes him 3 for 4 this year with runners in scoring position. This young man, he feels like he belongs here. He looks like it as well.
He's done a nice job defensively. Similar personality as the guy standing at the plate right now, Paulo Orlando. Outside, 2 balls, 1 strike.
Good take. That's where he wants to lead that changeup. Smart lefties like Wolf, that's where they put it. Just enough outside to where it teases the hitter. And he's going to take a pass on it, but he won't get a good piece of wood on it.
Two and 2. Had the right idea.
Yeah, and he'll double and triple up with that changeup on righties. That's 2 in a row. Especially if he can get you to swing at it. And then what they do is they'll go another inch or 2 beyond that just to get you to miss. If they try to get you to swing on that curveball, it's a bait, it's a trap. Then they'll try to come inside and bust you off the plate with that fastball that makes that changeup look even better away.
Now Wolf and Avila going to talk things over. Tonight is Student Night here at Kauffman Stadium, presented by Inc. Magazine. Every Wednesday, students can come out and mingle with friends and enjoy food and drink specials in the outfield experience while listening to live music from local Kansas City bands. Next Wednesday with Minnesota in town music from Hearts of Darkness. Get those tickets for just $8 at the box office or at Royals.com/student night. Got him. First strikeout for Wolf, and now runners at first and second with 1 out.
He'll get you thinking, especially when he kind of starts settling down. He's only thrown 21 pitches, but you can tell this little slider in the upper part of the zone wasn't what Paulo was looking for.
Alcides Escobar flied out to center field in the first inning. Blocked by Avila, ball 1.
That's what he wants to do with his breaking stuff. He wants to keep it down. Escobar 278 with a runner in scoring position this year. I'd like to get that over 280. Keep the line moving.
One and one. Royals last night didn't score their third run until the 7th inning, and then fell just 1 run short with the tying run at second base when the game ended. Coming back our way and just a little bit below. For Escobar, this is his 59th consecutive start at shortstop, which doesn't sound like much when you consider he played every game last year, appeared in every game last year. Christian Colon was the last Royal to start at shortstop at the end of June, and now Chris is back with the club. And Escobar has hit right around .230 during that stretch of games without a day off at shortstop. Fastball just a little bit inside. 2-2.
Wolf is doing all he can to try to keep that ball down and induce a double play here. You see Colon over there, he's waiting for his turn.
Fouled away again, still 2-2.
Wolf has taken a lot of time in between pitches. Walking around, kicking at the dirt and stuff. And in the meantime, his infielders are doing the same thing. They're all doing some groundwork in between. But, you know, when you work slowly like that, that sometimes will lull your infielders to sleep.
And the hitter to sleep.
Right. I got over 30 seconds in between pitches. Long time. Ideally, you'd like to have, 10 to 15 seconds. Half of that.
Curveball got away from him. 3 balls, 2 strikes. This is just the second career start for Randy Wolf against the Royals, so we've seen very little of him. So we don't know if this is normal, but sometimes it's a sign that a pitcher doesn't feel very good about his stuff and doesn't have as much conviction in between pitches, thinking a little more in between pitches.
That's exactly what that shows. That's body language by taking that long. Not confident. So is that.
Right. I mean,
not wanting to come home.
You think Sal's going to steal third right here?
No, that's little indecision is what that is. And that's exactly what hitters feed off of. What they see. And that's body language.
Iglesias will play it to second base, and the Tigers will get the second out. Perez goes to third. Escobar is at first. And that'll bring up Ben Zobrist, who homered into the Royals bullpen in the first inning.
Now you might have an idea about a certain place when you're going up there against Wolf, but when you see a pitch like that, that erases everything. You're saying, oh, that's a hanger. I can get that one.
Different speeds. That reminded me of the hanger he jumped on Aroldis Chapman, left-hand pitcher in Cincinnati. Remember, it was a breaking ball thrown harder, but it was up, and he had the same swing on the pitch against Wolf as he did against Chapman. trying to go the other way. 1 ball, 1 strike. I mentioned at the end of the first inning, Ben Zobrist hits very few meaningless home runs. He's hit 11 this year for the A's and the Royals combined, and 8 of those 11 have either tied the game or given his team the lead.
He's a money player. Dayton Moore knew exactly who he wanted, and he got him. Okay, this is what I like. Watch the turn right on top. Quick runner, one hands it. Now 2 hands is quicker, but look at him over the top and getting out of the way of the runner. When you throw over the top, you get more fastball action, more four seam. Instead of sidearm, it doesn't drift.
Tied him up, and a bouncer out to Castellanos, and that is the inning. The Royals get 1 in the first, they get 2 in the second. After an infield single from Morales, Johnny Gomes, 1 pitch into his Royals career, and he got that inning going.
Go, Johnny, go. Beautiful stroke.
Hot dogs and peanuts for Buck Night, presented by Visit KC, and it returns this Friday against the White Sox. Get those tickets now at Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Alex Avila leads off against Yordano Ventura and takes a fastball inside. James McCann was back at the plate for the Tigers last night. He was 0 for 4 with an RBI. Last time we saw the Tigers, they fired their president and CEO Dave Dombrowski, and they named Alex Avila's father, Al, general manager. And then shortly after that, his father got a 5-year extension to be Tigers GM. Alex's grandfather, Ralph Avila, was a longtime executive with the Dodgers.
Baseball heritage. Could make for an interesting conversation at Thanksgiving dinner, though, this year. Alex becoming a free agent. Imagine that conversation.
Three balls, 2 strikes. Well, if his father and the Tigers decide to part ways, the question will be, does Al tell his son first, or does he tell his wife first? Meaning Alex's mother.
Well, when we get to Detroit and we see Al, we'll ask him. He's a good guy. You can tell. I mean, he's a really good people person. He's been in the game, like you said, his whole life. We'll ask him. Three and two. You'd think a fastball was coming. Avila likes those. He likes it over the middle of the plate, like all hitters.
Pretty good swing at it. Still 3-2.
And you know, even though he's had a down year, I think there'll be some interest in him. He's a veteran guy, calls a good game, good throwing arm.
Been on a lot of winning teams.
That's right. Left-handed hitter. That always helps balance the lineup out. Salvi's telling him to throw it right down the middle, and he did.
At 98. 4 strikeouts for Ventura, who is coming off 11 on Thursday against Baltimore. That was a career high.
Talk about following Salvi's lead. He said, let's challenge him. Why not? Number 9 batter. And he listened to Salvi's body language. And he's a confident kid with some swagger now. He's got a little swagger working, and that's okay. That's a winning swagger. Confident. And Ryan, that's what we did not see in Cueto, Johnny Cueto last night. Didn't see his swagger. We didn't see the quick pitch. We didn't see his rocking chair. We didn't see that stuff that makes Johnny Cueto a confident pitcher. He was a little timid. He'd been getting hit around a little bit. So, you know, it happens to the best of them. This game is a humbling game.
Johnny, Ned Yost, Dave Island felt like maybe he found something at the end of the game last night. It's not a great overall line, especially with the expectations Reds fans and Royals fans have had for Johnny Cueto, but he did retire the last 7 and caught an infield pop-up.
Yeah, let's not forget that.
That is strikeout number 5 for Ventura, and another strikeout with his curveball.
But let's not forget those last outs that Cueto made. That's what you take from that outing. You try to find the positive immediately and build on that in this game of failure. So that's what they're dwelling on. And he'll be better his next time out, you hope.
Last time Kinsler stepped in, Ventura hit him in the upper back. And now fastball in for a strike. And it looked like the Tigers retaliated by drilling Salvador Perez in the 2nd inning. Checked his swing and did not go around.
And forget about that. Where was the location? That was a beauty. That's right where he wants to keep that heater. We saw what Kinsler did last night to Almonte's 98-mile-an-hour fastball. He can do the same thing here. Just got to keep it out of the middle. Salvi's sitting there, though. That's the pitch Ned was talking about before the game that sets up that beautiful curve. See if he comes back with a curve here. He's staying with a heater.
Well, Kinsler's had many at-bats as a big leaguer. He's taken one in the back. He's taken one under his chin. You can imagine why he might take one down the middle. I'm sure he doesn't feel 100% confident in the box right now. He's only human.
Right, but he's a tough guy. I like him. He's a battler. He's a competitor. See how he took it? He took it, you know, walked to first base, but he wore it, stayed in the game. Ooh, yeah.
With a changeup. 6 strikeouts. And that's for Ventura in just the first 3 innings.
Woo, does he have dominant stuff?
has worked and operated the family-owned club, which was started by his father Randall in 1947. Heavily involved in the Irish community, Kyle was the original founder of the Westport Irish Fest in 1994 and co-founder of the Kansas City Irish Fest, which is coming up this weekend. Tonight is Irish Heritage Night, and Kyle Kelly is sitting in the Buck O'Neil Legacy seat. Lorenzo Cain brings a 9-game hitting streak into the game tonight. 0 for 1 so far. He took a big rip on that pitch from Randy Wolf. 1 ball, 1 strike.
He had a pitch he wanted. Just missed it. Still kind of grabbing that side that we saw him grab in Tampa Bay. Left side.
2-1. And as we showed you the replay of him grabbing his side, at the same time he was bent over at the waist and taking his time getting back in the box for the next pitch. Two and two.
Lorenzo Cain 6th in the American League off of lefties this year. .351 average coming in.
Very close. Randy Wolf wanted it. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Home plate umpire is Quinn Wilcott. Randy's older brother Jim is a major league umpire, but Major League Baseball never allowed Jim to work the plate when Randy was on the mound. Well, his side looked pretty good there. Wow. Lorenzo Cain extends his hitting streak to 10 games with his 13th home run of the year.
Oh man, did he lean back on this baby. Tried to sneak a piece of cheese by Cain on the inside part of the plate, and Cain says, you know what, I'm gonna do a little lean back on you. Gets that head of that bat out there. Man, that ball was not walking. Great stroke.
Fouled away by Hosmer. Cain adds to his career high with his 13th home run. He also had a very long streak of games without an extra base hit. He had gone 15 games without an extra base hit, and puts an end to that with an exclamation point. Hosmer jumps on a hanging curve and pulled it just foul. Vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com, and you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. Hosmer grounded out to short in the first inning. Now, if somebody from either team hits a home run in that washer out there, Maytag is going to donate $1 million. I don't know if that ball landed in the shrubs or maybe just to the left. Base hit left field for Hosmer. Good swing down in the count. 0-2.
They put it out there for a reason, thinking that not too many guys can reach it. Look where this ball landed. I thought it made the shrubs, but no.
Just right next to that garbage can.
Yeah, just to the left of it.
If you hit it in the garbage can, you get $1, but if you hit it In the wash machine, you get $1 million. You should get $1 billion if you hit one in that wash machine.
Well, I wonder if they're giving it to the player or the charity. I think it says Boys and Girls Club underneath, so I'm sure that they'll donate that if that ever happens.
Fouled away by Kendrys Morales. He was on with an infield single in the second inning. I remember when the ballpark at Arlington first opened up in the mid-90s, and they used to have a sign up above the right field pavilion. It said, you know, hit one here and win a suit. And it was a throwback to the old signs in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. But I mean, you couldn't hit that thing with a rocket launcher. If somebody hit it up there,
yeah,
you'd win a suit. You kidding me? You got to get the warehouse.
Yeah, these ballparks are a beautiful thing. They all have their own unique characteristics, and I'll take the washer. Heck, forget about the million. Let me have the washer.
Okay, I'll take the million. You can have the washer.
Okay.
68 miles an hour with that breaking ball.
Those new washers nowadays are amazing what they can do. Morales waiting patiently for his pitch.
Hit it hard, but Kinsler was playing right up the middle, and the Tigers will turn that into a double play. Time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag KCDataStrongFan. You just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Hashtag KCDataStrongFan. Now Johnny Gomes. First pitch he saw from Randy Wolf in the second inning. He doubled to center field. And he is now 13 out of 24 in his career against Randy Wolf.
And he swung at that first pitch with confidence. He knew, it's like he knew it was coming right down the middle. He's an intense player on the field. Off the field, easy going, great personality, and some of his tats he's got on his body are very interesting. And he'll tell you about it. He's a character guy.
There are players in this game. There are people in life who have had difficult childhoods, and they live their adult life with a chip on their shoulder, and they use that childhood experience as an excuse. And then there are guys like Johnny Gomes, who had difficult periods of his childhood, but seems to grasp how fortunate he is to be where he is today. And by the way, wherever he goes, playoffs seem to follow. And even though it was just a one-game wild card with the A's last year, that was the 5th time in 7 years that Johnny Gomes was on a playoff team.
Yeah. No mistake by that. Dayton Moore, he's been having Gomes in the back of his mind for the last few weeks. Well, I could set that up, and I'll take your sister. Man, we'd love to have her in our household, man. That'd be great. We'll take her. You got you a new baby girl, man. The girls are beautiful. They're great to have. Well, I can arrange that meeting. Look, with 3 boys around the house, she would be welcome.
But can she catch?
Believe it. We'll teach her. Ooh. Cameraman, heads up.
Salvi was hit by a pitch in the second inning.
Two kinds of approaches you can have when you face a lefty like Wolf. You can get up on the plate, belly up on the dish, and the barrel of your bat is 3 inches on the outside part of the plate where he's trying to throw that changeup.
Ooh, slow curve, got it through the wickets, so he'll get some points for that. But he is thrown out by Kinsler. Royals have scored in each of the first 3 innings. Here in the third, it's Lorenzo Cain's 13th home run of the year.
Low Cain can.
Up last night back in left field, our most trusted player, brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda.
Yeah, his swings look really good. He produced on his first time up, knocked in a sac fly, then he hit a double. But good, easy passes on the ball. Of course, he's well familiar with that wall. He's able to catch that. Nice play. And another knock for him.
Watching tonight as the Royals lead 4-0 in the top of the 4th inning. The Royals have scored in each of the first 3 against Randy Wolf. Yordano Ventura has 3 scoreless innings and he has 6 strikeouts already. And he's 1-1 against Cabrera, who is discussing that call with the home plate umpire.
You can imagine there's a little intimidation factor there with the young umpire Quinn Walcott and a future Hall of Famer at the plate.
His single was to right center field in the first inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Some 99 right there to back you up. Right on your hands. Curveball coming. Nope. Gonna stay with a heater.
Last night Cabrera was 2 out of 3 with an RBI against Johnny Cueto. Both hits were singles. Ventura wants to stay with that fastball. Strike 3 called. And now Cabrera is really upset with Wolcott. Seven strikeouts for Yordano Ventura in 3 1/3 innings.
Whew, that caught some of the strike zone, and you know he's gonna be careful here. He might get run.
And you just said it could be intimidating for a young umpire against Miguel Cabrera. And he just got thrown out of the game by Gary Cederstrom. Quinn Wilcott gave Miguel Cabrera every chance in the world to just walk away. Brad Ausmus came out, Victor Martinez came out, and Cabrera realized he couldn't argue with Quinn Wilcott anymore, so he started yelling at third base umpire Gary Cederstrom, who's the crew chief. Cederstrom told him to knock it off, and he got thrown out. Oh, and by the way, that ball was inside the grid. It may not have been inside Cabrera's grid, but I mean, that's not like that pitch was 6 or 7 inches outside the box.
No, I credit Quinn Wilcott, the young umpire. Cabrera looked at him on a pitch that was a good strike, and obviously he was showing him up, and then didn't take anything.
Brad Ausmus is saying, "What are you doing ejecting my player?" And this is not just a Royals angle here, Hud. I mean, Miguel Cabrera was asking to get ejected. I mean, you start yelling at another umpire and you just won't go back to the dugout. I mean, what are you saying to the umpires? I dare you to throw me out.
That's right. Okay, Giordano loves his fastball, stayed with it. That ball's a high strike. And Cabrera, you really got to go.
He had his manager coming out to rescue him. Victor Martinez, who's a pro's pro, also came out to get Cabrera and was yelling at Quinn Wilcott, "We'll take care of it. Leave him alone. We'll take care of it." You don't have to worry about him the rest of the night.
That's what I was going to say. It's a really good thank you very much.
Cuthbert backhands, long throw, got him. Cuthbert's already had a big night. He is driven into and makes a good throw to get J.D. Martinez.
Cuthbert, I'm impressed with his throwing stroke. He's short with his arm swing. He's got some power behind it. Short little dig for Haas. Easiest one to pick. He'll tell you, of course, he didn't even pick it. Hit leather.
And now a strike to Victor Martinez. Grounded out sharply to Escobar in the first inning. And 2 on Thursday against the Orioles. Giordano Ventura struck out 11 in 6 innings. Tonight he has struck out 7 in 4 innings, make it 4 scoreless innings, and the Royals have given him a 4-0 lead. Lines. Order online with rapid pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. By Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Thoroughbred Ford. For great deals on new Ford cars and trucks, visit thoroughbredford.com. Andrew Romine is at first base, taking over for Miguel Cabrera, who is ejected in the top of the 4th inning. Chesler Cuthbert drove in 2 with a single in the 2nd inning. He'll be followed by Paulo Orlando and Alcides Escobar. Down in the count, no balls, 2 strikes. Royals have scored in each of the first 3 innings against Wolf. 1 in the first, 2 in the second, and 1 in the third. They've hit 2 home runs against Randy Wolf. Got him with a fastball up. And that's Wolf's 2nd strikeout. You can support the arts by coming out to Kauffman Stadium on Saturday for Arts Night. Pre-game festivities will take place in the outfield experience, featuring an array of interactive booths from local art scenes, a live chalk artist creating a Royals-inspired mural, and live music from Victor and Penny, local Kansas City band. And the purchase of this discounted ticket package also provides a $5 donation to the Arts KC Fund. Paulo Orlando drops it right on the line and down into the corner, and he'll be at second base with 1 out.
Ninth double. He waited on this off-speed pitch. 78. Change up that didn't work. He wanted that on the outer half.
Royals have 7 hits spread out among 7 hitters. Only Perez and Escobar are without a base hit, and a 68-mile-an-hour curveball is high to Alcides Escobar. He is 0 for 2. That is Guido Knudsen warming up for the Tigers. Chop to third. Orlando has to hold. Escobar is thrown out. 2 down. And that brings up Ben Zobrist, who is homered and grounded out to third base against the 39-year-old Randy Wolf. A 2nd-round pick of the Phillies in 1997. So 18 years ago, out of Pepperdine. Then with the Dodgers, the Padres, the Astros, the Dodgers again, the Brewers, where he played with Alcides Escobar and Lorenzo Cain, the Orioles, the Marlins, and now the Tigers. Orlando on his way to third base, and he's in. Sounded like it hit a lot of glove, and yep, they're going to call it a pass ball on Avila.
See if they can take advantage of that mistake. Yep, looks like he got a little crossed up there. Wasn't sure whether to catch that ball like that or backhanded. Alertly taking third.
Two 2-0 on Zobrist.
I got to face Randy Wolf in 1998 when I was in the minors at the end of my career. He was a young 21-year-old kid. And
I was jokingly going to ask you if you faced Randy Wolf.
I did. And he was the last starting pitcher I ever faced. And basically, I tell him.
Is he the one that hit you in the neck?
No, but he was the last starter. The
Okay.
other guy, he was a reliever. And he sent me into retirement. I couldn't hit him, and I used to make a pretty good living on lefties, and he put the collar on me, and that's when I decided it's time to hang him up. And he didn't throw real hard back then, although he had a good idea. You could tell he had, he had about 92, maybe 93 with his fastball. I don't think he really was ever overpowering, but he could pitch at an early age.
Zobrist takes a 4-pitch walk, but in your last plate appearance, you were famously hit in the neck, right?
Yeah. Scott Ruffcorn,
who made it to the big leagues.
Right, and he was a teammate of mine with the Phillies the year before.
Well, that wasn't very nice.
No, he hit me in the neck at 90 mile an hour. Didn't feel good. First time I ever got hit in the head in my career. I would hear angry pitchers come back to the dugout many times yelling, "I'm going to hit him in the neck."
And it's mostly just a figure of speech,
right?
Yeah.
You're right, exactly. And then I know what that feels like now. Not very good.
Lorenzo Cain hit a long home run to left field last time up, and now he bats with 2 on, 2 out. Wolf goes to first base to try and get Zobrist. That gives Lorenzo Cain a 10-game hitting streak.
See, Lorenzo Cain has taken the belly up approach. I can notice that he's up closer to the plate. He's looking for any of those soft pitches there, those off-speed pitches, and he's looking to do one thing. Just what he did in his last at bat.
Off of his foot.
Let's see where it got him. Ooh,
Maybe off the shin.
Yeah, above that padding. New York Yankees first baseman Mark Teixeira did the same thing, and he hit it off of his right below his knee, and he had a deep bone bruise, and he's out indefinitely. They don't know how long he's going to miss. So those things can be really dangerous.
I remember Jermaine Dye, after going to the Oakland A's in a trade from the Royals in a playoff game, fouled a ball off of his shin and broke his leg.
Yeah, see, we see this every night, and it's hard to explain to people really how tough these guys are, and they're able to mask the pain and walk it off. But lots of times, man, that's a deep bruise on that bone. It can be really tough, and that's the last thing Lorenzo Cain needed. Might have to get one of those pads that extend all the way up to the knee. But a soft tossing guy got into that hard. That can you can do that easily by getting around too soon.
And of course they do it again. Breaking ball inside, but that wasn't down enough.
Yeah, they do that again after that because they know that it's that pitch that they might be afraid to foul off that same spot.
Wolf thinks he has him set up for a fastball away, but it's out over the plate, And Cain drives it into right center field. Orlando scores. Zobrist is around third. Lorenzo Cain is driven in 3. And now the Royals have scored in each of the first 4 innings for a 6-0 lead.
Absolutely love that adjustment. After swinging at the previous 2 pitches to try to hit another homer, he had an idea that Wolf was going to try something on the outer half, and he just went with it. That's a beautiful swing. Good adjustment there. If he tries to pull that, he hits a little ground ball to the shortstop. Instead, he stayed back a tick longer and went to the opposite field and found 2 ribbies sitting out there.
Well, he has swung the bat well tonight in pain. Remember, he was grabbing his side right before he hit the home run.
Yeah.
A season of career highs for Lorenzo, and you can add doubles to the list with his 30th of the year.
Ned Yost in spring training, when I asked him about Lorenzo Cain, he said he could become a superstar this year, especially after what he found out he was, what kind of player he was in the postseason. Watch for him this year. He can really break out, and he has. He was right.
Three 3-0 on Hosmer, who singled on an 0-2 pitch last time up, and he's also grounded out to short. Three and one. Royals have scored more runs in the first 4 innings than they did all of last night, and losing 6-5 to the Tigers.
Well, Verlander had a lot to do with that.
Three and two.
Like that might have been off. Haas didn't say anything. Different arm angles we're seeing now. He'll change speeds on his pitches. Most lefties that throw like him do that.
Second walk of the inning for Randy Wolf, and here comes Brad Ausmus. In his first 2 starts, Randy Wolf only gave up 4 earned runs in 14 innings, making a comeback as a 39-year-old. But tonight, he has given up 6 runs in 3 2/3 innings. Guido Knudsen comes on to pitch. Wolfpack. So there's the one-man Wolfpack, but Randy Wolf did not have his A game tonight. We hope you'll spend your Labor Day here at Kauffman Stadium. We'll honor the military with Royals Armed Forces Night presented by Budweiser. That's coming up on Monday. We hope you'll arrive early. We'll have a pregame ceremony honoring our servicemen and women prior to the game against Minnesota. You can get your tickets at Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. Guido, not Guido, Guido Knudsen from San Diego.
Yeah, interesting. 90-92 with a sinking fastball, slider and a change.
Guido is from his mother's side, which is Belgian, and Knudsen from his father's side, which is Norwegian. That is from Cuba. Kendrys Morales with a 3-run blast in the 4th inning, and the Royals have a 9-0 lead.
That's Fumento, Cuba. Dead center here at the K. Don't see a whole lot of home runs leaving Kauffman Stadium in the middle, but that ball is in the middle, and he sends it right out of the park in the middle. Perfect stroke. Again, Morales putting on a clinic from the left side of that plate. Look at the extension. Oh, he's got a great, really a nice balance there. You can draw a straight line to see how balanced he is.
Royals have hit 3 home runs tonight, 9 runs, 9 hits, and they're not even done with the 4th inning. They have scored in all 4 innings. Oh, 0-2 on Johnny Gomes. He doubled and walked against the lefty Randy Wolf. And a 3-pitch strikeout, and that puts an end to the inning. With 2 outs, and the Royals have been doing it all year. With 2 outs, the Royals score 5.
Shocker.
Takes a look at 2 nights ago. He found out Johnny did right in the middle of the game, and so pulled from the game. You'll see the emotional hugs, including one from his hitting coach, Kevin Seitzer. Now, we've told a little bit of this story before, but it's worth bringing up again. Johnny, when he got here the other day, when he was asked about his 5 near-death experiences, he said, 5 and counting. There was the one when he was very young and fell asleep in a sleeping bag that caught on fire. There was avoiding gunshots while camping. There was being in a car accident with a few friends where the driver, his good friend, ended up dying in that one. They had flipped a coin beforehand, and his friend won for the right to drive. He had a heart attack as an adult. But the most unique one would be at 12 years old, guys. He was at his grandmother's house. He had always wanted a dog, and a hired hand showed up to do some work on the fence with a wolf on a leash. Johnny walked up and went to pet the wolf, thinking it was a dog, and the man said, no, that's a wolf, don't do it. The man tied up the wolf, went around to work on the fence, and Johnny, being curious and thinking maybe he was a bit of a wolf whisperer, went up to see the wolf. Well, the wolf attacks him, is on top of him, jaws open, and Johnny, according to him, lays there, sure that he is going to die, at peace, and the wolf, sensing the calm, walked away. So perhaps the wolf whisperer after all. We see the strikeout there. And maybe all of this is unbelievable, Ryan, but when Vince Scully tells the story in the middle of an at-bat during a Dodgers game this year, it's got to be true, and maybe a little irony that he's hitting over 500 in his career against Randy Wolf.
There have been times, I'm sure, when Randy Wolf felt like Johnny Gomes was standing on top of him.
Way to deliver, Goldie.
Cuthbert dives, throws, and he gets Collins.
Speaking of delivering, this young man is hungry. Cuthbert is able to pick the large hop, hits it for it, went to the short hop, comes over with a perfect throw. Look at Rusty Kuntz over there in the dugout loving it. And Giordano says, thank you. That'll conserve my pitch count.
Gerard Dyson has taken over in center field. Lorenzo Cain, remember, right before hitting the 2-run double, had fouled a ball off of his left leg. So we will be on pins and needles waiting to hear that. Hopefully it's just a contusion. No balls and 2 strikes on Iglesias. But boy, Lorenzo, I mean, he was grabbing his side in one at bat, and then he homered, then he was down on his knees. He was hurt so bad after the foul ball, and he hit a 2-run double.
He's amazing. Remember the hamstring he had in Houston? Okay, he had a slight hammy working, a little problem, a little strain, but he shortened up his swing and started getting base hits to right field, and that got him locked in. And he was about the only hot hitter at the time. Remember, Houston Astros gave the Royals a hard time when they were in Houston.
Iglesias, best hitter in baseball with 2 strikes, and he adds to that average, which is over 300. Down 1 and 2, he singles with 2 outs.
Well, you know, we talk about his hands. Got great hands. That's what this one was. This base hit too. Just took that bottom hand right to the ball. Beautiful. Short with his swing, not trying to do too much.
Changeup is inside to Alex Avila. He was a strikeout victim in the 3rd inning. Giordano Ventura has struck out 19 in his last 2 starts. 1-1. That changeup's been good tonight. We go with that fastball and curveball.
He's got 3 above average pitches.
Two and 1.
Again, Salvi timing that hop with his glove, and he didn't close it. He just keeps the ball in front of him. Leaves his glove open. All he wants to do is push it in front. I asked him why. He says, I pick the ball up off the ground a lot quicker than I can from my glove. Just wants to keep it in front.
And this is probably getting a little too technical, but I wonder, you know, when you stick your hand in your glove, you're just blindly doing it and you're kind of stuck with whatever grip you get. I wonder if just that split second of seeing the ball on the ground, he can adjust how he picks it up to get the grip that he wants.
I would guess that's the truth, because Salvi is so gifted, and that he picks that ball up off the ground as well as anybody, especially in play on the grass there on a bunt play or a little chopper. He goes out there and he stabs the ball with his fingers down, not beside the ball or not on the in back of it. He goes down with his fingers and he picks it up, and has a great routine.
Iglesias runs and Avila strikes out. 9 for Ventura in 5 innings. He is 2 shy of his career high, which he established last Thursday.
You got a stable full of aces.
It's the last homestand for the Royals this year. They'll play the Tigers one more tomorrow night. White Sox are here over the weekend, and then Minnesota's here Monday through Wednesday, and then after that we are down to one more homestand. Knudsen, who gave up the 3-run home run to Kendrys Morales, capping the Royals' 5-run 4th inning. He'll stay on to face Salvador Perez, who was the only Royal who did not bat in the 5-run 4th inning. Picking ball down and away, 2 balls, no strikes. Sal has been hit by a pitch and he has grounded out to second base. And now 3-0. We just received very good news from the Royals clubhouse. Lorenzo Cain removed from the game for precautionary / 9-0 game reasons.
That's right.
And it was a foul ball off of his calf. So not his shin bone. That would be the most scary part about a foul ball in that area. So that's good news for Ned Yost and the Royals. And it gets Gerard Dyson in the game. And Salvador Perez begins the bottom of the 5th with a walk.
Slap some ice on that baby. That's what you do. Hey, thank you. Nice to see you tonight at the ballpark. Thanks for coming. Wow. Makes me feel good.
Now you're not 55 though, are you? Is that what?
Yeah, I'm double nickels today.
Wow. Speed limit.
That's right.
Fouled away by Cuthbert. He's had a heck of a night. In the 2nd inning, he drove in Morales and Gomes with a single. And he's made 2 very good defensive plays at 3rd base on J.D. Martinez in the 4th inning and Tyler Collins in the 5th. And that ball's belted into the corner and gone. Cheslor Cuthbert with his first major league home run. Man, have a night.
Cheslor Cuthbert, what a stroke. He's saying, hey, don't forget about me. Congratulations, young man. Welcome to the show. Look at his teammates responding to him. That is so fresh. Way to go. I mean, look at this little slider that just kind of hung out over the middle of the plate. He barreled it. And he knew he had the distance, just wasn't sure if it was going to be enough. And they're asking for a curtain call from him. Gotta love this crowd.
This is not your older brother's Kauffman Stadium. It's your father's Kauffman Stadium, but it's not your older brother's Kauffman Stadium. These fans are into every moment and every accomplishment, whether it's Alex Gordon coming back from the disabled list last night, Cheslor Cuthbert with his first major league home run. We are seeing reactions and ovations that I haven't seen in 15 or 16 years.
Oh, talk about leaning in on that one. He was leaning in and just put everything on it. And the only question was it going to stay fair? Welcome. What a good-looking young player. Both sides of the ball. He's playing defense. He looks like he's been here for 10 years.
Another homegrown Royal. Cheslor is from Corn Island, Nicaragua, where his father was a lobster fisherman. Paulo Orlando goes into the right field corner, and that's off the wall.
Another triple.
Number 6, and it's standing up. And his first since April 20th, when he became the first player in Major League history to have 5 triples in his first 7 Major League games.
Minute left the bat. Down that line, that's Triple City for anybody that can run. And Paulo Triple-O, he certainly knows that route. Look at that. On contact. Look at him go right out of the box. Inside part of the base, that's proper. Look at him. He took one peek. He didn't need Jershey over there. He knew it. Aha. And Guido Knudsen having a hard time staying out of the middle of the plate.
Farmers warming up in the Tiger bullpen. Scott Ausmus just came out and had a quick word with home plate umpire Quinn Wolcott. At the same time, the pitching coach Jeff Jones is going out to have a visit with Knudsen. The Royals have scored in each of the first 5 innings, and there's a base hit into center field. The Royals lead 12-0 in the 5th. First hit for Alcides Escobar, and now 8 of the 9 Royals in the starting lineup have at least 1 hit, and we're only in the 5th inning.
The Royals, they're showing their ability tonight. No question about it. How they use the whole field, how the 1 through 9 they frenzy hit, and man, there are nothing but a ton of runs up on that board. Every single inning, the Royals have put numbers up, and crooked numbers.
Buck Farmer will come on to pitch for the Tigers. Follow Royals baseball with MLB.com on your smartphone or tablet. That includes the MLB.TV Game of the Day, in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, and more. It's the #1 app for live baseball. So Farmer comes on. Still nobody out. The Royals have scored 3. Cologne's at first, and Zobrist, Dyson, and Hosmer are still coming up. And now it's going to be Omar Infante to hit for Ben Zobrist.
Buck Farmer, 90-97 with his sinking fastball. He'll run a little bit. He's got a sharp slider. Curve and a change. He's got all 4.
Over to the Royals dugout. Royals have hit 4 home runs. It's the first time since June of 2013 when they hit 4 at Target Field in Minnesota. Zobrist, Cain, Morales, and Cuthbert. And for Cuthbert, it's his first major league home run.
And there's still plenty of game to go. They may not be done.
into right center field. And Ghost is back to make the play, and that's the first out of the inning. Dyson took over in center field in the top half of this inning. Lorenzo Cain fouled a ball off of his left calf, and with a large Royals lead, Ned Yost decided to get him off of his legs. So Dyson bats for the first time and takes a strike from Farmer.
Yeah, you know what? It's been a long time since we've seen a lopsided Royals score so far in this game, and man, that's really good. Gives Ned a opportunity to get those guys off their feet, especially Escobar.
Dyson started in center field last night and was 0 for 3 with a walk. Two and one. Three balls, one strike. Randy Wolf allowed 8 of the 12 runs. That was over 3 2/3 innings. And now Knutson is on the hook for 4 runs. That was in 1/3 of an inning. And now Dyson goes up the middle, and that's a base hit into center field. Colon stops at second. And the Royals, in less than 5 innings, have 12 runs on 13 hits. Hosmer singled in the 3rd inning and then walked and scored on the Morales home run in the 4th. Outside from Farmer, out of the Tigers system, drafted just 2 years ago out of Georgia Tech. He's one of the rare players who has been drafted 3 times out of high school by the Braves, and he's from just outside of Atlanta, and then twice out of college by the Brewers in the 15th round and then the Tigers in the 5th round.
Oh, he's got the kind of pitcher's body they love. Big, strong, 6'4", 225. And look at those pitches. He's got excellent movement away, especially with that changeup. His heater, 2-seam sinker at runs. At that type of velocity, no wonder he was drafted all them times. Consistency is the main deal to stay up here in the big leagues. If you're going to stay, you got to be consistent. Can't be a one month wonder or a 2-month wonder. Ask Jock Peterson, the center fielder for the Dodgers, what it's like to dominate in your first year in the first half and then get humbled beyond belief in the second half. Humble pie awaits all in this game. It's not easy.
3-1 to Hosmer.
And you know, our guys have been through that too. Growing pains, everybody has them. Hosmer, Moose struggled badly, got sent to the minors just last year. All of them have experienced failure, and you will if you're going to play up here.
On the ground to Kinsler. They get the out at second base and turn it into a double play. Second double play for the Tigers tonight. The Royals have scored in each of the first 5 innings, and we head to the 6th inning with the Royals in front 12-0. 4 runs. He has hit his first major league home run, and he's made 2 very good plays at third base. And his team leads 12-0 before we begin the top of the 6th inning. A lot of changes. Terrence Gore goes into left. Paulo Orlando moves over to right. So Johnny Gomes is out. Christian Colon ran for Escobar. He stays in at short. Omar Infante batted for Zobrist. He stays at second. And Drew Butera takes over at first base for Eric Hosmer. It's the 7th time in Butera's career that he has played first base. Oh, and by the way, Yordano Ventura in his 5 innings has struck out 9. Woo. But the rest is bad news. And a heck of a night for the Royals. Dyson can't quite get to it, and that'll go to the wall. And Anthony Gose, who runs well, he will end up at third base with nobody out. Gose struck out his first 2 times against Ventura and jumps on the first pitch of the 6th inning, and he's at third base.
That's his 7th triple. He plays in a big yard there at Comerica Ballpark there in Detroit, where center field's pretty good ways away. 420, I believe.
That'll bring up Ian Kinsler. And that gets by Sal. Good bounce off the signage panel behind home plate. And no chance that Gose is going to come down in a 12-0 game. Ventura in the first inning struck out Gose, and then he drilled Ian Kinsler right between the shoulder blades. As the Royals batted in the bottom of the 2nd inning with runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out, an open base, and Randy Wolf drilled Salvador Perez, and then home plate umpire Quinn Wolcott issued a warning. He did not issue the warning right away, but we started to get some players staring each other down and decided that it was time to warn both sides. Chopped out to short. Colon fields and gets Kinsler. A run will score, and Detroit is on the board as Gose comes down from third. You know, just thinking about this, you know, we've been praising Quinn Wolcott and how he has handled the game tonight behind home plate. The best praise we've had for a home plate umpire this year was Jim Wolf, Randy Wolf's older brother, after that very tense Sunday afternoon in Toronto.
Yep, I remember that. That was a good job of patience there by the umpire, Randy Wolf. Excuse me, Jim Wolf.
Andrew Romine bats for the first time. Butera, nice play, gets it over to Ventura. Now Joel just came into the booth, and we've been working together long enough that I know where he's going with this. I think he is reminding me that the last time that Quinn Wolcott was here did not go so smoothly for him. He had 2 calls that were overturned by review, and then the Sunday night game he got into it with Salvador Perez and ejected Sal, and that's the only time that Sal has been thrown out of a big league game, and he and Sal have been working just fine together tonight. Was I right, Joel? Where did Joel go? There he is. Inside to JD Martinez. 1-1 on JD Martinez.
In the meantime, Yordano Ventura just continues to cruise. Talk about run support. Wow, he's been overwhelmed with run support tonight.
On the flip side, and it's hard to feel sorry for Randy Wolf tonight because he gave up 8 runs in 3 2/3 innings, but in his 3 starts as a Tiger, the Tigers have not scored 1 single run for him while he's been in the game. 3-2. And that's hit well to right center field. Dyson sprinting back, and that's over his glove. So Ventura, who had given up only 3 hits in the first 5 innings, all singles, has given up a pair of extra base hits in the 6th.
Well, here's a hitter, JD Martinez, who's an excellent low ball hitter, but he utilizes right field with the best of them. He's got power to right.
Victor Martinez is 0 for 2. Twice he has grounded out against Ventura. Changeup is fouled away, 1-1. This has to be one of his best starts with his changeup this year. Do you agree?
I would. And you know, it's just the 3rd time through the order here, but he's bringing that out more the 2nd and 3rd time through. He's dominant with his fastball, curveball early, and then he has that extra weapon when they're not hitting his fastball or his curveball very well. And now he's giving him a different look. And what's impressing me too about Ventura is he's learning how to change speeds with his curveball. Early in the season, his curveball was averaging about 83. Now he's throwing a little bit harder at 85, but he's able to control that pitch.
Out to Cuthbert, and that's the inning. Tigers get their first run, but Ventura, with just 90 pitches, has given up 1 run in 6 innings. I didn't know that Rex was a 2-syllable name. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Ryan.
You all right?
Yeah, buddy.
You sure?
Yeah, you know that you can't control obviously when your birthday is. You know, the attention is a little bit much during the season, but you know it is great to be home for my birthday. You know, the best present I could get really was a Royals win waking up this morning. But my boys came in early. You know, they all gave me a big hug, and it's really special to be able to. It's too much attention right now. I can't contain it.
We've heard that before.
Yeah, but look.
Were you on the road last year?
Yeah, you
Are
know.
usually on the road for your birthday?
Yeah, sometimes that can be a little bit lonely, but man, it's great to be home, especially here at the K, and all the excitement that's been going on here is a lot. Thank you.
Kendrys Morales leads off the 6th inning, our Sonic Slam inning. He has a home run already tonight. The Royals have 4. He didn't quite get this one as Ghost makes the play. Zobrist, Cain, Morales, and Cuthbert have all homered. And now Terrence Gore. And he gets a nice ovation. He became a fan favorite in September and October last year. Gore takes a strike. So our contestant is Alan Berkebile from St. Joe, and if the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Alan wins $500. That was off the netting of the Royals dugout. No balls, 2 strikes. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Alan wins $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. This is just the 2nd major league at bat for Terrence Gore. It is his 13th major league game. So almost exclusively a pinch runner last year. He also got into 6 postseason games. The wild card, 2 in the division series, 2 in the championship series, and 1 game in the World Series where he scored a run. And he goes down on strikes. Farmer has his first, and there are 2 down in the 6th inning. As promised earlier in the game, we have selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Thank you, Aaron. You can tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag KC Data Strong Fan for a chance to have it featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. (2-0) on Salvador Perez.
You know, in games like this, it's easy to go, wow, you know, this is a blowout. But hitters, and pitchers, guys that perform, they're not wasting any at bats. Believe me, these guys, they're acting like it's a tie game, and they're giving it their all.
If it comes down, Castellanos wants it. And for the first time tonight, the Royals are scoreless in an inning.
Shock the house.
by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price every day. On offense, the Royals have 12 runs, 13 hits. On the mound, Yordano Ventura has given up 1 run, 5 hits, and is trying to give Ned Yost 7 innings. It'll be Castellanos, Collins, and Iglesias. It surprised some last night in a 2-run game when Ned Yost used Miguel Almonte to make his big league debut, and he ended up giving a big home run to Ian Kinsler, which in essence won the game for the Tigers. But Ned Yost, as well as the Royals bullpen has performed and as well as he has managed their innings, the Royals have gone 14 consecutive games without a starter going 7 innings. It seems like every night Ned is hoping that he'll get a starter to go at least 7, sometimes at least 6. And the last starter to go 7 innings was Ventura on August the 16th. So he's helping out the bullpen, helping out his manager. Remember, the Royals are without Ryan Madson and Kelvin Herrera. And that right there is the first walk given up by Ventura all night.
Impressive. Just finishing a little bit high now. He's starting to, maybe he's tiring a little bit, but his lower half is getting out a little bit ahead of his arm. Yeah, but you know, you're without Herrera, without Madsen, you know, and a couple of their guys, they've really spread out those innings all year long to pick up for the lack of innings pitched by the starters. They've been doing a good job, but you know, Salvador Perez called 7 straight fastballs to Kinsler, and right before that, Kinsler stepped in. When Salvi went out to talk to Almonte, I thought he was saying, "Hey, watch out! This guy can hit a good fastball," and then he threw him 7 fastballs in a row. So you know, if anything, that's on Salvi.
Well, here's a great stat that Dave Holtzman just looked up. Kelvin Herrera, who's out with chickenpox, has thrown the most pitches by any Royals reliever this year. That ball will get away from Sal. 1 and 2 on Collins, and Castellanos will go to second on a wild pitch. So Kelvin Herrera has thrown the most pitches by a Royals reliever. Where that ranks among American League relievers is 22nd. So that's how those combination of the long relievers and the short relievers. You know, Dave Island and Ned Yost have had the luxury of going to that bullpen when they need a long reliever, short reliever, back end of the bullpen type of a guy. They've gone to them quite a bit as the Royals relievers have piled up the innings. But when you start talking about pitches, the Royals are not among the league leaders in most pitches thrown.
Interesting. And then here's the changeup. You got to strike out on a change. Beautifully located.
Ten strikeouts for Ventura. He has a chance to tie his career high in this inning, which he established in his previous start on Thursday against Baltimore. Pitch number 100, and it's taken low. 2 balls and no strikes.
Was nice movement on that 96. That looked like a changeup. Boy, just wonderful execution with his 2-seam fastball. Look at that. That is what you call an above average major league sinker. 96 with some teeth on it.
Two and one. Ventura has thrown as many as 114 pitches this year. 2-2 on Iglesias. Take a look at DraftKings players to watch, and they were right on with Yordano Ventura. Go to DraftKings.com, enter the promo code BRoyal to play daily fantasy baseball for free. Colon takes care of Iglesias. Castellanos goes to third, 2 down. And now at 103 pitches, Ventura will get Alex Avila, who was struck out twice. Both times swinging, both times on a fastball. And he gets a first pitch fastball. Ventura still throwing 98, and it's 0-1. Remember all those problems Ventura was having earlier this year with men on base and with runners in scoring position? That has not been a problem lately. Tonight, when the Tigers have a man on, they are 1 for 9. When they have a runner in scoring position against Ventura, they are 0 for 6. And Avila bats with Castellanos at third and 2 down. And it's 1-2.
Well, the last 4 starts before this one, teams were 0 for 18 runners in scoring position. So Ventura
0 for his last 24 now.
Yeah, obviously he's not throwing fastballs down the middle like he did in the first part of the season. He's getting smarter. He's getting more bite to that curveball, and he's using that more with runners on.
That curveball hangs high, 2-2. Changeup. Yordano Ventura strikes out 11 in back-to-back starts.
He is Ace Ventura.
Strikeout games, joining Kevin Appier and Brett Saberhagen. What a night for Yordano Ventura. Panera takes us around the league. Yankees all over Boston this afternoon. Cleveland trounced by Toronto. What's new? Seattle and Houston tied Minnesota 3-0. Mazda game break takes us to that game between the Blue Jays and the Indians. And maybe the only shock is this is not a Josh Donaldson homer. It is just a double. The Blue Jays keep rolling, so do the Royals. We'll be talking about all of it coming up on Boulevard Royals Live. Safe to say we'll have a lot of home runs to talk about, a lot of Yordano Ventura to talk about, and much, much more. And I know you guys talked about first time since 4 homers in a game for the Royals. How about at Kauffman Stadium? First time since June 24th of 2012 versus St. Louis. Moose had 2, Billy Butler and Jeff Francoeur. Last time they had 4 different players homer in a game at the K, 2007. Mark Grudzalanek, Mike Sweeney, Alex Gordon, and John Buck. And in case you're wondering, if we have a 5th, the last time the Royals had 5 homers in a game at the K, 2000 against Anaheim. Johnny Damon, Carlos Fablis, Jermaine Dye, Mark Quinn, and Brian Johnson.
Yeah, but when was the last time they homered in the 1st, 3rd, 4th, and 5th inning at home against the Tigers in a night game?
Holtzy, Holtzy, help out.
Help. Now, if Donaldson had homered on that replay, Joel, would that have been his, what, 74th of the year?
93rd.
My gosh.
Unbelievable.
It's a home run every night. Paulo Orlando has 2 hits, both extra base hits. And he has scored twice. That is a fair ball, and Paulo Orlando is going to have another extra base hit. He stumbled rounding first base, but still cruises into second base with a double. 2 doubles and a triple. The Royals have scored in 5 of their first 6 innings. And now here they are with runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out.
Yep, everything's contagious. It's nice to see him keeping the line moving. Just a perfect line hugger.
RBI chance for Christian Colon. First at bat since being called up. He has played in 29 games with the Royals this year. Came on as a pinch runner for Alcides Escobar in the 5th inning. Caught by Iglesias, who flips with his glove. And they get the double play at second base. That's not something he had to do. He had time to take it out with his hand, but it was just something that he was able to do.
Yeah, but Paulo just went 2 steps too far. 1, 2, and realized that he was going to be out.
He's fun to watch.
He has tremendous hands, great feet, good arm.
Strike to Omar Infante. Omar batted in the 5th inning and flied to center. He was pinch hitting for Ben Zobrist. Zobrist homered, walked, and scored a couple of runs tonight.
Zobrist got it all started first time up. Number 2 hole hitter, hanging curve.
That's hit well to left field. Collins is back and makes the play. So the Royals had runners at 2nd and 3rd and nobody out. The double play was big. We played 7. The Royals lead 12-1. Acuna will take over behind the plate. And Franklin Morales will take over on the mound as Yordano Ventura, who had never struck out 11 in his short career, and now he's done it in back-to-back starts. Here are the sprint cuts of the game.
Oh man, I'm telling you, he's emerging now. He's saying, you know, I know we're happy to have Cueto, Volquez, everybody, but look, don't forget about me. And he's pitching like it. He's pitching with an attitude that's contained. He's channeling it towards his pitching. And as a result, you know, it's working, and it's working wonderfully. This guy's executing his pitches, secondary pitches. Those are all above average pitches, and what that equates to is an ace. That's right. Ventura's saying, don't forget about me. And he's using it with his pitches. And when he hit Ian Kinsler, second hitter of the game, instead of staring him down, he looked the other way, didn't make any eye contact, and acted like it was an accident. That maybe it was. We don't know that. So he's growing up. He's maturing. Ooh, tester there.
And Colon passed the test as he gets Anthony Gose. 1 pitch, 1 out for Franklin Morales. Rajay Davis will hit for the first time. He came on defensively in the 6th inning. Morales is in with a strike. Oh, and 2. Routine for Dyson. 2 down. We opened the broadcast tonight talking about how good Yordano Ventura had been in his previous 4 starts, and now if you add tonight, in his last 5 starts, his earned run average is 1.13. He is striking out about 12 per 9 innings. And opponents are hitting under 175 against him.
Man, he's really impressive. You know, that's what a teammate can do to pick up another one. Johnny Cueto's struggling a little bit now, and Ventura says, don't worry, Johnny, I'll stop this little small losing streak. And that's what great starting pitching does. Keeps you from having long losing streaks, and also helps you continue winning streaks.
Do you know the Royals have not lost 3 in a row since the end of July? They went the entire month of August without losing 3 in a row. And they've only had 4 3-game losing streaks all year. And I bring that up because they came into tonight having lost 2 in a row. So Morales picks up where Ventura left off, 3 up, 3 down to the bottom of the 8th inning. Still 12-1 KC. Miller Lite.
Chesler Cuthbert. Hello. Man, does he look good. How about not just his offense tonight, his defense. Picking up Ventura. And then he hooks the pole down the left field line for his first big league homer. Chesler, call the cops, man. Have a day. Curtain call on top of it all.
Tom Gorzolani will come on in the bottom of the 8th inning. Dyson, Butera, and Morales are coming up. Royals scored 8 of their 12 runs against Randy Wolf, and then 4 against Guido Knudsen. Wolf in 3 2/3 innings, Knudsen in just 1/3 of an inning, and then Farmer had 3 scoreless innings. Romine takes care of Dyson.
Let's take a look at that first major league home run of Chesler Cuthbert. Got a little toe tap, steps out, good head position, drops that back leg, good extension. Look at him, he almost goes down to the knee, a la Adrian Beltre. He lacked 2 inches from hitting that knee on the ground, and that would have been Beltre Jr., future Hall of Famer.
And third baseman.
That's right. He's able to slow the game down, and also he's able to rise to the occasion of his teammates and feel that energy in there, and rise his ability level up to where they're playing. That's what happens when you join a championship team like this. And even earlier in the season, when Moose had some issues at home and he had to leave, Chesler came up there and acted like he's been there forever. He looked really good on defense. That's what you want, number 1. And then number 2, he got some big hits.
Last night we saw the big league debut of Miguel Almonte, and it looks like in the 9th inning we're going to see the big league debut of Scott Alexander, coming in a little different situation than Almonte did, but he could come on in the 9th inning. Gorzolani has retired the first 2. Here's Almonte working on his changeup grip.
He was impressive last night. I liked his stuff. Liked his delivery. Changeup, his curveball looked a lot like Ventura's. It's great to see some of the young, talented future Royals.
Alexander just moments away from a dream come true. Kendrys Morales has one of the 4 Royals home runs tonight, a 3-run shot in the 4th inning. Royals scored 1 in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd, 1 in the 3rd, 4 in the 4th, and 3 in the 5th. So they got their 12 runs in the first 5 innings. Gorzolani comes on and makes it look easy. 3 up, 3 down with a couple of strikeouts. Scott Alexander comes through the gate and into the big leagues for the first time in his professional career.
was a 6th-round pick of the Royals in 2010. Had a chance to talk with him today. The numbers have been great for AAA this year out of the bullpen. And he said that he was kind of glad not to have pitched yesterday. He expects there'll be some nerves. But it was his first time to Kauffman Stadium yesterday. You had the franchise four. You had all of the pomp and circumstance with Alex Gordon returning. And he just enjoyed being able to take it all in. Now he gets a chance to focus on business.
That's what he did at AAA Omaha, 2.56 ERA. Brian Holiday will lead off his first plate appearance of the night.
We'll see some low 90s from Alexander. He's got a good sinker, slider, and a changeup.
Born in Santa Rosa, California. Started his college career at Pepperdine and then finished at Sonoma State. And the Royals took him in the 6th round in 2010. Butera down to a knee, connects with Alexander, and that's an impressive first out of a big league career.
Sure is, and Ventura apologized to Alexander for the throw. Ventura making a nice play, tipping his cap to his buddies on the bench there. They're all getting a kick out of him, getting a chance to play some first base, but Alexander knows when that ball's hit over that side, you got to get there and cover up. Good adjustment there. Ball was behind him, and he's able to keep his path straight to the bag and retire his first out in the big leagues. Nice play.
Not sure how familiar Scott Alexander was with Brian Holiday, but I'm sure he is well aware of who Victor Martinez is. Do you remember the first player when you got to the big leagues where you suddenly realized, I am on the same field with, or how about since you were a hitter, I can't believe I am facing, as far as pitchers go?
Doc Gooden, and the player was Paul Molitor with Milwaukee. He knew my name as I ran off the field and he was coming on. He said, "Hey Rex, how you doing?" And I was flattered and staggered that he knew my name. I couldn't believe it. Ooh.
I'm sure Cuthbert has made many plays for Alexander at AAA, and now there he is helping him out here at Kauffman Stadium in his big league debut. 2 down.
Chopper not routine. He's going and getting it. He's going to pick up that big hop. I love his throwing stroke. That's impressive to me on defense. His earlier call-ups this year, loved how short he is with his throw. Keeps the ball straight. Nice play coming in. He's putting on a clinic tonight.
2 down to Nick Castellanos. And Cuthbert. Foul ball. Nice play by the ball boy.
I would imagine. Now, I don't control any of this, but Cuthbert should be Joel's guest after the game. Now, look, I'm just hoping I can hear from the kid. The fans are all fired up here.
Well, it is your birthday.
Yeah, you know, I'd like to have Joel interview Cuthbert. Let's hear from him.
Got me, Joe?
A little bit high to Castellanos. Alexander, I mentioned, was drafted in 2010, but the very next year he had shoulder surgery and missed the entire 2011 season. So he had some big time adversity right away. Pitched at Idaho Falls in 2010. Surprise and Kane County in 2012. Lexington, Wilmington, Northwest Arkansas in 2013. Northwest Arkansas and Omaha last year. Omaha and Kansas City this year. And he gets his first major league strikeout. Scott Alexander gets the Tigers in order in his big league debut. And the Royals even the series with Detroit winning 12-1.
And to get the last out of a W, a KCW, is a beautiful thing. Congratulations, Scott.
So the Royals continue a long stretch of games without losing 3 in a row. And they are now 8-7 against the Tigers this year.
What a feeling that's got to be for him, walking down, getting that game ball. That's beautiful.
Toronto won, the Royals win, so the Royals maintain that 5.5 game lead for the best record in the American League, our Toyota League leaders. And Minnesota also won, so the Royals maintain their 12 game lead in the Central Division. Smiles all over the place.
And he just looked at Moose and said, Moose, take a couple more days off. Chesler Cuthbert, man, fantastic job today with a bat in his hand. Bases loaded. He's been hot. He's 3 for 4 with runners in scoring position since he's been here. Now he's going to make a backhand play, getting dirty, a la Moustakas, and then coming in showing that ability. Whoa, man, and then he wasn't done. He pulled an Adrian Beltre out, almost went to his bottom knee and hooked the pole. Have a night, young man, and congratulations on your first big league dinger. Curtain call.
And now hanging out down on the field with Joel. Take it away.
All right, guys, thank you very much. A lot of players to choose from tonight, and we will represent Nicaragua and Brazil, Chesler Cuthbert and Paulo Orlando. All right, Chesler. Salvi was busy, so that came from Drew Butera. That's Gatorade, I can taste it. First big league home run. Tell us about the excitement and the emotion of hitting that home run.
Wow, this is like emotion moment for me right now. Like, I feel like my home run, first home run in the big league is so much fun.
And what do you think when you look up and you see so many people here? It's different than the minor leagues. And what do you think they're thinking back at home on Corn Island, Nicaragua?
Well, tons of fans like supporting us every day, and I'm really happy. Like, I never played with so many fans, and also like Nicaragua, like everyone is supporting me too.
Paulo, let's come in here. 2 countries that haven't had a whole lot of baseball players. Are you used to this now? You've had a bunch of these moments this year.
So it's always a great moment, you know. He's my roommate, and then after the game, you know, before the game, he said, I want to hit homer today, you know, and then he got it. So I'm so happy to, you know, he got success here, and just keep it going. You know, when I got opportunity, just play hard every time.
Well, we saw a lot of triples from you to start the year. It had been since April. You've had a lot of homers in there too, but tell us about that triple and getting a chance to sprint around the bases again.
Yeah, I miss to hit a triple, you know, and I hit pretty good to the right field, and just, you know, I got a game, so I'm so happy about that.
Last thing for both of you, you said that you are roommates in the minor leagues. You've talked about this. How much is this a dream come true for both of you?
I can't explain, you know, because you play a lot of games in minor league, so when you come here and all the fans support us, you know, it's like feel like 100% all the time.
And Chesler, how about for you? How much is this a dream come true?
Wow, I cannot explain. I cannot explain myself right now, but this is a really fun moment for me right now in my career, and like the fans, like my family, everyone.
Did they get the ball for you?
I don't know yet. Also, like to the guy like Orlando Steven who came to watch me to play today. That's all.
I bet they have the home run ball. Paulo, Orlando, Chesler, Cuthbert, great job tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it.
There you go. Truly an international game. Chesler, Cuthbert has officially been cooled off, guys.
Good for them. Two really good guys, too. Just happy to be here every day. And Joel got fooled by the Gatorade for a change.
He stayed in there on him.